Tēnā koutou e te iwi wānau, wānui, nau mai uki mai ki te wāpā reke reke. Mihi ka here me te ki a koutou katoa, mihi pahutakawa ki a koutou katoa. Nō reira, he wā harawei, he wā wakatā, he wā wanaungatanga, no runga i te aroha me te manaakitanga o tētehi ki tētehi tātou ki tātou. Nō reira, I Tū Whānau, te manakaha o te wānau, mai I te korimako o Taranaki, nei mātou e mihi atu nei ki a koutou katoa. Nō reira, ko te kaupapa ara ko E Tū Whānau. Kei te kōrero atu au ki tāku nei o aku nei tuahine. Kua haramaira ki runga I te kaupapa o I Tū Whānau. Nō reira, welcome back to Te Wāpā Rika Rika. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. And of course, E Tū Whānau, top up the Tepu giveaway. I'm speaking with our winner, our top prize winner, Malissa Naamu, who won the $500 Pack and Save voucher. I'm sure $500 is going to help whoever got it. Is going to help the whānau. I would have to say for Christmas, New Year, and past New Year as well. So it is a pleasure to have Malissa with us, and it's a pleasure for me to have Te Raumahora with me as well, because she was the one that nominated Malissa and put her into the giveaway, the Top Up the Tepu giveaway. Nō reira, kora, nei tāku e mihi atu nei ki a koutou katoa. Koutou rā e te rau I rau nau mai rau mai rā. Nō reira, Te Raumahora, Malissa, once again from Te Korimako o Taranaki, we'd like to congratulate you and on behalf of E Tū Whānau. Kia koe hoki Te Raumahora, how wonderful it is that you and this is what I love about the competition, was that you nominated somebody who was special, is special within the whānau, who is special within the community. So I'm going to pass it over to you both. Kei a kōrua, te wā, whoever it may be first. Ka pai.
Ko te mea te tuatahi ka mihi nui ki a koe ki a koutou e te korimako. Mō tēnei taonga, kia hapaitia te oranga o te whānau o tōku karangarua ko Malissa. Ai, kei te tino honore, kei te tino harikoa te ngākau. Just want to mihi and thank you to the whānau at E Tū. E Tū Whānau, te korimako o Taranaki. So I ended up nominating Malissa and her whānau. I was scrolling through Facebook and saw the competition that Te Korimako had shared. And as soon as I read the values, I just thought of this young wahine. And I'm not going to share too much about her story. I really want her to have that time to be able to share what she feels comfortable with sharing. But it's been quite a turbulent couple of years for her, and I just felt she really encompasses all of those beautiful values of whanaungatanga, manaakitanga, just kaha and resiliency. So yeah, I got overwhelmed actually, and I wanted to ask her permission first, because I know that she has been sharing her story quite publicly and getting her story out there to try and help other women. And I know that it's had an impact, because I've met a few that have a few whānau that have read and followed her story, and you can even see in the comment section really of when she's sharing how many people that this resonates with. Sadly, a lot of wahine in Aotearoa have experienced such turbulent times in their with whānau violence and experienced whānau violence. It's a topic we don't talk about much, and I just want to mihi to my whanaunga here for the strength in sharing that story, really, quite so publicly. But I'm always really moved and inspired by her strengths, and I see her in our kōpai. She's a real hands-on mama in our kōpai. She's working her tū mahi to try and meet her rent. She just never gives up. She's always trying, she's always studying something. And I'm like, where are you? Are you at your other mahi? She's like, no, I'm studying. And I'm like, far out. She just does it all. And I don't know where she gets the strength from after such an ordeal to take all these things on. And it's really for the betterment of her whānau. But I'll let her share her story, but I just want to thank E Tū Whānau and Te Kore Mako for this opportunity. I'm so ecstatic that it's going to go to a whānau that not only deserves it, but really, truly needs some mawhi at this time.
Ka pai, no reira ka nui te mihi ki a koe I Te Raumahora. No reira, Malissa, after all of that, what do you say?
Well, at first she rang me when I was at mahi, and we were quite busy at mahi, and she goes, Kaz, ring me, I need to tell you something. I was like, oh, this sounds good. Sounds a bit juicy. And then, she rang me and said, you want the Te Kore Mako prize? And I was like, no. And I was just like, yeah, but it's the first time I ever heard of the E Tū Whānau kaupapa actually was when she reached out to me, and she felt within her ngākau that she needed, who felt the aroha to nominate me for that. And I guess I spent a little bit of time on the whārangi to pānui through other people's kōrero and to see their nominations. And there were quite a few māma wahine on there that had been nominated that I 100% agreed with, So, like, winning this, I feel like, $50 to you, $50 to you, $50 to you, $50 to you, $50
She wants
to
a
you.
toha,
because even though I've been told I deserve it, I feel in my ngākau too, all these other wahine out there deserve it as well. And also Whai Glow was my biggest nominee as well because of the support that she's provided for me and my whānau in the duration of Te Kōpai. There's been a lot of ups and downs with my contributions and with my presence there. I think this year was the first year that I was not much present because I had a lot of mahi going on. And with coming out of a domestic relationship, I was still dealing with the aftermath of that. So really, I just wanted to take this year to kind of focus on one thing at a time rather than trying to put myself everywhere. Because I tend to burn myself out quite a lot. So having Whai Glow's support and Te Kōpai support as well with my tamaiti, it was huge as well. And I felt like the nomination should have went to her too. But we can go halves at Whai Glow. But no, it was. I was very overwhelmed because of the kaupapa behind E Tū Whānau, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful because everyone deserves the recognition. And because my cousin here has such a big ngākau and she's been through a lot of my life, ups and downs, and through it there was a lot of times where I felt embarrassed because she'll be in the depths of of the negative side of things, and she'll be the one to pull me up, and then it just got so much pulling me up and then I'll go back, pulling me up, go back. So then there was a little bit of embarrassment there with having to put her through that too. So, but the beautiful thing behind my cousin is that she's still here, so she has a voice. So yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Kia ora.
It's mum wanted to hear about the embarrassment too, because I said, where have you been? She's like, oh, cuzzy, and I'm just trying to focus on the kids, and that's when I kind of knew, I'm going to have to, go and just inject myself to make sure that she knows that she's got us, no matter what, there is no shame in what she's been through.
And there's a lot of that in domestic violence, obviously, when you've got that heading to that toxic environment and relationship. A lot of our wahine tend to isolate themselves because they do feel whakamā, having whānau try and support them, but the embarrassment behind that because we keep going back, because we're stuck in that cycle. It was because of that. Like, you get to a point where your whānau will help you out, and then gets to a point where they review it as, okay, she keeps going back, she's going to have to learn the hard way. So that's how I started viewing it as well, because it's so common out there. And I think a part of that and what I've been through for all those years, it hurts. Like, there's a lot of mamae behind there, but I don't hurt for myself. I hurt for every wahine, every tāne that goes through it too. It's not just one. But in it as well, I also became the abuser amongst that relationship because of the trauma that I sustained, and it turned me the same way against the person, because I was just, my mana was so diminished that I became the abuser as well. So
Ka
it
pai.
really, yeah. But it
Ka pai
takes a
anda.
lot
Yeah,
to
carry on.
recognise. It takes a lot to recognise your own behaviour, and this is what this year has taught me. I've always knew that when I was the abuser in the relationship as well, that I knew it wasn't healthy, and I had to recognise my own toxic traits, and I knew I had to do something about it. Unfortunately, it got to a point in the relationship, because the violence was so bad, and because I stopped reaching out, I isolated myself so much that I was stuck with my own mental health. It's just the unfortunate circumstances is that I snapped one day and I retaliated, and it's almost ended the life of my ex-partner.
Yes.
And that was the hardest part. But in that, I didn't look at it so much of the negative side of what had happened. Obviously, I am quite remorseful against my actions towards that. But I felt freedom. It's the first time I have ever felt like the burden that I've been suffering for so long. And we're talking about mental health, depression, suicide. My children were a part of that trauma, so it was traumatizing them at the same time. And I had to identify those issues and figure out, what am I going to do? Like, this is your beginning now. Like, okay, this has happened, but this is your time to be you. This is your time to be set free and focus on the things that are going to move you forward. And this entire year that I've had, because it's coming up, I think on the 18th of December was the day that it happened. So I obviously celebrated that day, because this day also the day that I got my freedom back. That it was also my new beginning. It was also the rebirth of my new life, and I no longer had to live under the shadows of it. But coming back, it's almost coming up 12 months now. I've gone through a lot of traumatic changes. I've had to kind of deal with the aftermath of the domestic relationship. And, there was anger still there. I still get a little bit triggered sometimes when I hear certain things. Even when someone raises their hand, it kind of, the anxiety behind that. Having to deal with the aftermath of those traumas has been the journey. It's been the one thing that I've had to focus on to kind of get through one step at a time.
Yeah.
And then in July, that's when I was sentenced to 6 months home detention, just avoided 14 years in prison for it. So again, that I was fortunate. I was fortunate to still be recognised for the strength that I endured in that relationship. That I feel like I got the good outcome of it, and it still gave me that time to focus on my tamariki, to focus on myself, to focus on mahi, and just take one step at a time. And I call that my healing journey. Yeah, it's been definitely been a year, because in it as well, I've been out there, and my reasoning for sharing my story. It's not only just domestic violence. We reflect all the way back into my teenage years, where I was with a whānau, and there was a lot of sexual abuse. And then, because I've been in a whānau my whole life since I was 6 months old, so losing both my parents and going into other whānau, and the stability is all different. So there was a disruption of my stability, my tūranga waiwai. I didn't feel like I had a sense of belonging anywhere. So having to battle all those this year as well, and find my own mana, and come back to my tūranga waiwai, and just discover who I am, my sense of self-worth. And it's not only for myself, it's now for my tamariki, because I've got to pull my tamariki out of the darkness too, because I went through what I did, but my children went through the worst of it, because they're just babies and they experience quite a lot of trauma. So we're all going through it together as a whānau. So that's the reason why I share my stories, because I'm not the only one out there who's gone through this. But I can't sit back and be quiet about it, because what good is that going to do if I'm wanting to break that generational trauma? In a lot of wahine, you can find the strength. It's just no different to how I find the strength in other people's stories, and I see how they've come out of the darkness. how they work hard, where their whānau dynamics are, when they're studying, when they're career-based now because of what they went through. That's my uplift, that's my motivation as well. Yeah, because we've all been through something, but I want to utilise my story and my kaupapa to awhi others out there, for our wahine, for our tāne, but most importantly for our tamariki, because it is our tamariki that suffer the most. And the last thing I want is for my kids to have seen that this is how a relationship is meant to be, and that's how they start growing up to feel like that's what love is, or that's what relationships are, and them having to deal with mental health when they get older, because it's very strong out there. If you don't remove your tamariki from that environment, our tamariki suffers that in their adulthood. And that's what I wanted to eliminate for my kids, so that they grow into a healthy environment where they can excel in their life and not have to deal with the trauma of my decisions in their adulthood.
So you realise what you're doing, eh? You realise what you're doing right now. You're in a happy space now, Melissa?
100%, yes.
100%. That's what I want to hear. With everything that you've just spoken about, and I think it's very important that you reiterate that to others, that you know this, we all know this, that there are women out there that are still being abused. There are men out there that are still being abused. If they're not, and not only that, they just need some love, is what they need. They, it's we say it's that simple, but when you're in that situation, it's not that simple. So it's nice to know that you've come to this happy place. You're at this happy place. You've got your kids now. You see your future in front of you, and tell me, I mean, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. And so are we here at Te Korimako o Taranaki, for your honesty, for being able to find a way, because I can see so much confidence inside of you. You have so much courage inside of you, and I know that you had that during those times of what you were going through that domestic violence and through the abuse. And looking at you, hearing you talk, you have got so much courage, pride, and I can see it. You're that person that other women wanna see. Because sometimes when you're in that situation, and you know this, you feel like you're on your own, eh? 100%. And nobody understands what it is. Nobody understands what I'm going through. But when you hear somebody that's been through that, and then they start talking the way that you have, and then coming back like this, we're going on air, it's saying to them, wow, I'm not the only one. Right. It's saying to them, geez, I'm not the only one. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have a tear or two. Koina. But I'm so privileged to be able to talk to you, but not only that, your pride and your courage and your stand, your mana wahine, to have this talking to you right now and listening to that. And I hope that a lot of our women out there that are going through that, that they pick this up and know that they're not on their own, and that there's help out there. We talk about that. We say that all the time. There's help out there. But really, you had whānau here. You had Te Raumahora. You had the ones behind them. You've got the ones behind you. Eko angareo. You've got a strong whānau there that are nurturing you. They've got their cloak around you. And when we start looking at these concepts. Start looking at a korowai. In your own mind, start looking at and what those feathers represent. Ne? In your mind, in your heart and soul, what they represent. Because that can be part and parcel of how you hold on to that. I do that to myself many times, many times. But I think the beauty about it is that coming out, being able to smile, being able to put a smile on your face, being able to say to your kids, I love you, being able to say to yourself, I love me. Hey, Koia Tina, I couldn't have asked for a better person who's got this giveaway for you too, Whānau. Honestly, I really,
She's
you
pretty
amaze me.
incredible. Pretty incredible. And I know she beats herself up about her mothering, but if you met her beautiful tamariki, she is absolutely, they are so wonderful. They are so full of joy. They are so matato, so really onto it, and so loving.
Yeah.
Such loving kids. And I say to her, and I remind her, your children are just a testament of
Yeah.
you and your
Tough
strength
line.
as a mother and your ability. She's like, I always feel like I've stuffed them up. I said, rubbish. They are just
No, you
absolutely
haven't.
just gorgeous.
Don't worry about other people's. Don't worry about other people's expectations or how they see you.
Yeah,
Never ever look at that. Always take a look at yourselves and take a look at the beauty that are in those kids.
oh, they're absolutely amazing.
Always.
Totally, like my tamariki, although they've gone through and still going through the effects of what they've seen and heard and experienced, but in it, they're very compassionate.
Very.
And I'm so glad, well, it's unfortunate that I've put them through that, but I'm so glad that their mama has turned into empathy and compassion for other people.
I
So,
tell you
like,
what, kids are. Yeah, I tell you what, kids are so resilient. They're so resilient. You've just got to nurture that resilience. You've just got to nurture that resilience, koia. And that's Te Taha Māori. That's our Māori. That's how we live and breathe. But just take care of that resilience, that passion that they have, and that's as they grow older. And I mean, you can't ask for anything more.
I have
But yeah,
I have a 6-year-old girl, and she's very she's got such a strong mana, stronger than what I have myself. There's been a lot of times that my girl puts me in my place quite a lot. And because she's been exposed to the domestic violence and mum's depression and all that stuff, she comes in and gives me a kiss sometimes, and she'll make me a cup of tea and coffee, and she'll be like, "You're gonna get over yourself, dude."
yeah, love it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
I mean?
me.
I have a 6-year-old that always puts me in my place, and she's so sassy
Yeah,
and
she's
so
sassy.
Yeah,
attitude.
me.
But
Because
she's
that's
got
our kids. Yeah.
they're the most honest people that you could ever have in your
Oh,
life.
yeah. Very
Brutally
much
honest
so.
is what I call it. Yeah, so it's
I've
quite
got
a
one
joy.
of those.
It's quite a joy having her.
I think we all have a Te Raumahora.
Yeah, I've got that one that's like, Mum.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here we
Yeah.
go.
You know, she tries to run. She tries to hui the waka sometimes, and we let her. Sometimes we've got to tone it down a bit because she's only a tamariki. You know, she's not quite.
No,
there.
don't tone her down. Don't tone her
That's
down.
leadership. That's
She's very
leadership
much
skills.
Yes.
That's for
Absolute
sure.
leader.
Yeah. No, don't tone her down. Oh my
So
God, I
because
can't
we
believe
have, so because we have a very Te Reo Māori dynamic in our whānau at home, so on top of going to Te Kōpai and speaking Te Reo Māori at home, my daughter and my youngest boy are very fluent in Te Reo Māori, but I've had to move this year because of what had happened last year. I had to make some sacrifices in terms of what kura they were going to, and they were going to Te Pihipihinga, so I pulled my daughter out. My baby's still at Te Kōpai, and I put her into mainstream learning because it was closer to home. So I had to kind of cut the cost of living at that stage. So I put her into mainstream. I was quite a bit concerned because she was all Te Reo Māori. She was all Te Ao Māori, and she had so much mātauranga in her for such a small little girl. I got a school report in about 2 weeks ago, and on her school report, they identified my daughter as being their reo kaiako in their class.
Yes.
Yeah, so my baby, she does some of the assemblies, and she does it in Te Reo Māori. And in their class, when they pick up kaupapa Māori in their class, my daughter Tia Marie is the one they call upon to help them with pronunciation and the meaning behind the kaupapa that they're learning, because she's very matatau. So
See?
That's a lot of leadership skills in her, you know. So she's taken from what she's been through because of her resilience. And I can see where she's going to lead, you know. So, like, I look at her and I'm like, man, you're a bit more advanced than that.
She got it from her mama.
Hey, listen, this is absolutely beautiful. This is going on to our Te Kore Mako o Taranaki Facebook page, but most importantly, that Te Raumahora, you know, as I said to you before, you know, when we nominate, rather than put ourselves in these competitions, when we nominate people from that are special within our iwi, within our communities, that hold those values of E Tū Whānau, that's special.
Absolutely.
That's special. And we got a big feedback from everybody and who they nominated, why they nominated them. Many of them you'll probably know that are in, you know, they're in the communities, you know, they're doing it. And that's the beauty about the competition, is that you get to recognise, and those people get a recognition for what they do.
Aye, absolutely.
So
Yes,
koia
I
tēnā.
always see Christmas as a time. I always feel quite a bit of taumaha during this time because I know there's a lot of whānau out there struggling. And I see it in my mahi. I see it in suicide prevention. I've been in mental health and addictions for my entire adult life in the social sector. So I understand the struggle of whānau, and I have.
Yeah.
Actually, I wish I could nominate a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
But I always think of this time as how can I give back. So actually it was another cousin of ours, Tuhiao Bailey, and my cousin Malissa Story, that I donated. Our whānau donated. We always donate or give back to charity or work in a youth like soup kitchens around this time to try and, you know, pay it forward for whānau that are doing it hard. But we donated this year to the women's refuge.
Yes.
So I thought that's a kaupapa that's really important to us. I've also experienced, not on the level of domestic violence as Melissa, but I've got my own personal connection to that as well. So and try and do, I try at this time of year to think of others. Really, it's Christmas for me is about sharing and sharing and showing the love and being there for others. So I'm so stoked that we're able to help this beautiful, deserving whānau. And as you can see, she's remarkably incredible. I think her story isn't broken her, but if anything, it's really going to skyrocket her into doing some amazing things. She's already doing it.
Oh, yeah. Can see it already.
She's just a young leader who I'm trying to nurture too, because she always goes, I don't have the confidence to do this, cousin. I said, you've got it, but your whānau are looking to you. I said, I know it's really, like, we feel like we're the younger generation, but we feel like we're not ready, but actually our tupuna say that we're ready, you know, and we're stepping into some leadership roles that we just thought we wouldn't hit until we were kuia. And here we are having to manaki our whānau because it's in our heart, and we don't feel like we could carry on without tikanga and kawa being set. And
can I say something to you, Te Raumahora? You're a kuia from the time you're born.
I love it. I love that.
Right?
Don't encourage me.
From the time you're born. Moia te poi, moia te taiaha. Yeah. But and never a truer word. Honestly, when I live that world. I live that world, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But we've got to wrap up now because we've been talking for quite a while. So
happens with us too.
Yeah. So ka waiho au I nei wā kia korua. Hei tuku atu I te reo wakamihi. Ki tātou katoa, kei a koe te wā. Leave it up to you.
It's Mihi.
Okay. I just want to mihi tū Te Kore Mako for providing this opportunity for wahine and tāne like me to be able to have that opportunity to be able to talk about our kaupapa and our journeys within E Tū Whānau. So it's a beautiful kaupapa, and I just want to mihi to you guys for this, and for the $500 Pack and Save voucher letter. I'll be $50 to everyone that's been nominated. Can you split it, cut the card in half?
I can just see you doing
She's
that.
always doing,
I can just see you doing that. Oh my goodness me. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? No reira.
Yeah.
No reira, no runga I te aroha.
Yes.
Aroha mai, sorry for cutting you off.
No,
No runga I te aroha. Ka nui te mihi, ka nui te manaki, ki runga I a tātou katoa te mea tuatahi rā. Engari, ko tai te wā wakatā, ko tai te wā wanaungatanga, no runga I te whakaro nui o te aroha me te manakitanga, tātou ki tātou. Nei tāko e mihi atu nei, mai te korimako o Taranaki, mai E Tū Whānau, tēnā koe Melissa. I am so looking forward to your journey. Come next year, Te Raumahora, I want to catch up with you, girl. And again, ngā mihi kia koe. Do you want to say Merry Christmas? anyway.
Mihi mete, ngā mihi mo te tauhou, ngā manakitanga ki a koe me tō whānau, e roto I tēnei wā, he wā taumaha, mo ngā whānau o tō whānau. Ka nui te aroha ki a koutou. We really love you, Di. Thinking of you and your whānau at this time.
Okay, if you can just stay there, while we finish off, and then, all right? Okay.